So we'll just go over the announcements first, as usual. And then today we're going to jump into Photoshop. So, really quick. Usually, what is it? All homework is due the moment class starts. But if you still want to turn in your extra credit survey, you're welcome to do it up till tonight. All right. The homework, however, like the project and the organic packet, that's all due now. So if you haven't turned those in, make sure to turn them in now. Make sure to submit everything right now. I'm going to download them all off of the Google Drive around break time. So whatever's not in my actual desktop hard drive and is submitted later will not be counted. Okay, so just make sure that you put everything inside of those Google Drive folders at this moment. Um, Other than that, let's see. So this Wednesday, I'll reveal Project 3. Y'all kind of already know what it is, but yeah, I'll go over that on Wednesday. Um, oh, that's weird. Oh, that's weird. Um, Let me try to reconnect because it actually says on. Can everyone see my screen? Uh, who can everyone here see my screen? I just want to double check. Oh, you okay? Okay, cool. Okay, for a second, like my preview was even saying that it wasn't showing up itself, so I just want to double check. But yeah, so I'll reveal Project 3 on Wednesday. Um, other than that, just make sure to have Photoshop downloaded this week if you haven't done so yet. The brushwork packet is going to be due on next Wednesday. All right, and then today's exercises are going to be due on week 10. So this should actually say week 10, but it is week 10, October 26th. All right, so I need to fix up that typo over here. But other than that, do we have any questions about anything? No? And then if you redid your line art for Project 1, make sure to submit that in the Project 1 resubmissions folder. Don't put everything inside of the Project 2 folder because whatever's in the Project 2 folder is only going to be counted for Project 2. So just keep that in mind too. If you did resubmit for Project 1, make sure to do that. Before we get started on anything today, let's see. What I want to do is I just want to do a quick gallery preview of everyone's work. So I just took everyone's JPEGs and I copied them over to like a new folder. So let's just take a look at what everyone did. So yeah, no group critique today. If you would like a critique from me and you would like a paint over to kind of see like, to visually see what you can do to fix up your your drawing, your painting, whatever. Make sure to email me and I'll be more than happy to like go over it with you. Now this is super cool. Awesome stuff. All right. Super cool. Man, value just brings all these to life. Ooh, nice. A lot of nice details. Awesome. Ooh, very moody. Super cool. Ooh, nice. Good range of values. Ooh. Wow, this picture looks nice, like really big. Ooh, I like this. Oh, sounds good. No worries. Awesome. Ooh, a lot of backlit window ones. Ooh, a lot of nice texture in here. Nice. Awesome. Some cool props. Oh, I guess that's it. All right. Is there anyone I missed out on that's still throwing up their JPEGs that I didn't get to show? No, got everyone. Okay, so super awesome stuff. Good work, everyone. Super excited to see what's coming up next. So don't forget, if you haven't resubmitted for Project One and you redid the line art before starting this, be sure to resubmit it because you know if you didn't get a grade you like, this is your chance to you know raise your grade. If the rest of the semester to do it still. But make sure you know if you don't submit it, I'm gonna check all the resubmission folders like as I grade these. If you submit your project one some other time in the future that I'm not aware of, just make sure to also email me so that I know that you know you've resubmitted it. Does anyone have any questions before I get started with today's exercises, lessons, things like that? It was a survey. So there should be like a survey I sent over last week. I think it's on Canvas too, under last Wednesday. And basically, it's just a quick survey asking how the class is so far. Yeah, there it is, midterm survey. So yeah, it's just a really quick survey, just asking how the class is, you know, all that kind of stuff. Um, you know, usually I ask you all to submit this anonymously, but unfortunately, since we're doing everything online, I can't do that. So, um, so the way it's going to work is you are going to put your name on it. You're just going to answer these questions, and you're just going to turn them in, and you're going to turn them in through Google Drive, okay? Through Google Drive. So just make sure they're on Google Drive, and that's pretty much it. So, you know, be honest about it. You know, no need to sugarcoat for me. Uh, I'm trying to improve as a teacher always. All right, I'm not perfect. I'm not the perfect person. So you know, there's always room for improvement in my book, no matter where I am in my life. So you know, just be sure to be honest if y'all are doing the survey. If there is something you actually feel like a little bit weird about, like you know, let me know. If you really like the class, let me know too. Part of getting good feedback is not just understanding what things you have to fix, but also what things you're doing well at as well. So yeah, make sure to throw that into the Google Drive once you have it done. So this is the only homework I'll accept up till the end of the day. But everything else, such as the organic packet and the project, is due now, y'all. So any other questions before I get started on today's lesson? No, we're all good. All right. Okay, so today's gonna be fun. We are going to be learning Photoshop. So if you have Photoshop, feel free to join me. There we go. Okay, so Photoshop. So I'll be using Photoshop 2020. It's asked me to sign in a lot. Oh, okay, let's try this. No, I'm not going to deal with that. Okay, I'm going to be using Photoshop 2019, but it's pretty similar to 2020. Everything we're going to know today is going to be the same thing. So the interface is not changed. But I'll kind of go over why we use Photoshop, what's so good about it, the basic interface today, and then we'll go over we'll actually go over the exercises today too, just to kind of go over some of the really basic tools that we're going to need to know. So usually Photoshop is going to ask you to do this once, but for some reason it asks me to do this all the time. There we go. Should work now. Perfect. Okay, so right when you open Photoshop, okay, you're going to kind of see this, okay? If you don't have any of the any pictures that you've ever opened on Photoshop before, this should be blank. These are all your recent files that you've opened. You can create new files over here by pressing the Create New button. You can open files that you've already worked on before by pressing the open button. All right, but what I'm going to do first, and feel free to join along, is I am going to open up this over here, and up here you'll see a bunch of recently used file sizes. All right, a bunch of saved ones, which I never use because I just use like the basic file sizes that I have, or I just type them in. And then over here, you have different file sizes that are kind of set already for certain things. So if you're working on a film or a video, which Photoshop can do, by the way, working on mobile stuff, web stuff, if you're doing art and illustration, different kinds of grids, poster, postcards, print sizes over here, letter, legal, tabloid, A4, different sizes for photographs. So if you're working on a photograph, I'm just going to open the 8.5 by 11. But before we start doing that, let's kind of go over this over here. So when you're opening up a new document, you're going to see over here, you're going to have your width, you're going to have your height, you're going to have your orientation, which switches these around. You can open up artboards over here, which we'll go over later on, but we're not really going to use artboards here. This is like really good for like other things. But for painting and stuff, like, you know, it's not necessary to kind of know this stuff. Your color mode's kind of important, though. All right, so for your color mode, you're going to have bitmap, grayscale, RGB, CMYK, and lab color. Depending on what you pick, they're going to give you certain color choices. So if we choose a RGB color, it's going to work off of a RGB color scale, which stands for red, green, and blue. If we work off of CMYK, it's going to be cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. K is for black. All right, so these are really important to know because if you've ever done anything like graphic design or anything print related, what's going to happen is that a lot of times we work in CMYK when it comes to print because those are the ink colors that we put into our ink printers whenever we try to print things. Whereas like RGB is very, very good for like web online colors because RGB gives you a better color radius, so you can get more vibrant colors getting RGB. But not every color that you make with RGB is going to be able to be printed when you do print. So that's where CMYK would come in, is that if you change your file to a CMYK, or if you start off with the CMYK, you're going to get colors that are more accurate to printer. So when you print stuff, things are going to look more like the way when you print stuff, it's going to look more like the way you've set your colors. And then we have 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit. So the different amounts of like, oh, whoops, didn't mean to do that. So different amounts of types of colors and like pixels, and then also your background content. So if you want to start off with a different background, you could, different background color. So I've chosen white, so as y'all can see in the background, when I made my file, my background was white, but if I changed it to black, it would be black. And these are other things over here, so different color profiles. So color profiles are basically just like set settings that have already been made. If you click on them, they're just going to kind of like switch over to that profile. And then I never worked with these before, so I have no idea what these do. But I've never touched these, so you don't have to touch any of these usually on the bottom. So just keep that in mind. So once you're done, you'll press create. You should have an interface over here where it's just a blank canvas. All right, and then from there on out, let's kind of go over what we're seeing over here. So why Photoshop? Okay, so Photoshop is awesome. All right, so let me actually reset my space so it kind of looks like this. Okay, so this should kind of be what Photoshop looks like when you open it. All right, it should have stuff on the right. It should have stuff on the left. Probably not this thing over here, actually. That's actually something that I put there. Let's see if I can reset it back. Okay, that's fine. So actually, let me try one last thing. Reset. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it should kind of look like this when you open it. All right, it should look like this. Okay, you're gonna have stuff on the right, usually like colors, this little area over here that tells you the document properties, layers, and then you have like different like areas for layers. So these are different things that we'll kind of talk about later on. We got like this, I guess like this advertisement for like early like tutorials. So if y'all ever wanted to check out these tutorials, you could do that. They're pretty helpful, but they teach you like really basic things. Your library, which is going to have like different images and stuff like that. I never really use this over here. And then on the left side, we're going to have our tools. So for our tools, we have all these different kinds of tools we can use over here. If you click on them, they'll do different things. So we got, our brush tool. If we go to our eraser, we'll have our eraser tool, which does erasing, just like that. And then up here we have our file. So this is our file window over here that we can kind of move around. If we can snap it back to the window. If we click and drag it up to the edge over here, you should have a highlighted blue box around your window, and it should bring it back to this maximize tab setting. And up top over here, we got our usual little Windows tab things where, it's we have file, edit, image. That's just the usual stuff on the top. Does anyone have any questions so far? No? Okay. So why Photoshop? Okay, Photoshop is amazing. All right, you can do so many things with Photoshop. You can animate, you can paint 3D models, you can take 3D stuff and turn it into 2D stuff. You can photo edit, you can paint, you can do just about anything in here, and there's a lot of flexibility to it too. Whereas when we were using Sketchbook before, Photoshop should have all the capabilities that Sketchbook has, but even more. Now, the drawback is probably going to be the learning curve of Photoshop, and is also going to be the amount of stuff that you're going to have to remember to do in order to make sure that it works properly. So, whereas Sketchbook was really, really, really simplified just for, doing sketching sort of things, Photoshop you can use any of these techniques. So I use photo editing techniques when I make art. I use painting techniques when I make art. I use sketching techniques when I make art. Even now and then I'll use 3D techniques to make my environments and stuff like that. And Photoshop can do it all and even more. There's so much more you can control with it you can't control in Sketchbook. So you can edit things a lot easier. You can fix things up a lot easier. But again, the drawback would have to be the only drawback would have to be is how to know how to use these things and how to make sure that you're using it properly. All right. So before I start jumping into really going over the interface and going deep into kind of knowing how to do these things, I do want to show you all just a couple things in the Windows area that will fix stuff whenever things go wrong. The first thing I want to go over is if you go to File, you're going to have all these things up here, your usual. You have New, Open, Open As, Open Recent, which opens your your most recent files that you've used, Save, Save As, etc. You have a whole bunch of other stuff here too. But actually, so let's go to Edit. Sorry, it wasn't under File, it was under Edit. I always mix that up. So we have all these things over here, but the thing that you want to go to is actually Edit. You're going to go to Preferences, and then you're going to go to here, which says General. All right. You can click any of these other ones here too. They'll open up the same tab, but I just like to click General because it opens up the base. These are the rest of the little things that was under that window over here. So everything else that was up here before, inside of this little tab, they're all on the side over here. All right. Now these are all your little preferences. Okay. Now, each one of these is obviously going to do something else, the way you want your interface to look, your history log, which is pretty helpful to kind of know too. There's a way to kind of edit different things in here to make sure Photoshop works at its best. For example, if you've never used, for those of you who use Photoshop, if you didn't know, you can actually raise the amount of memory you want to let Photoshop use to let it run faster at the cost of the memory that you're letting everything else use on your computer. So for me, I have it a little bit higher. It's usually set on 70, but I set it on 80 and I have less windows open when I open Photoshop. But the thing that I want to go over is how to reset your settings. All right, so if we go to General over here, you can actually reset all your preferences by pressing Reset Preferences on Quit. All right, what this will do is it will quit your Photoshop, and when you reopen it, everything should be reset to the way it was before. All right, so if anything ever messes up on Photoshop, you're not sure why your brush tool doesn't work, why this doesn't work, and you've talked to me, you've talked to your peers, you tried to find out like what's going on, but for some reason none of us can find out, this is kind of like the button to like fix everything, which is to reset preferences on quit. All right. So anytime you've messed with something you're not sure what you've done, make sure to reset preferences on quit. Okay. The next thing I kind of want to go over is scratch disks. Okay. So scratch disks is basically, how much memory is your Photoshop using? Okay. And it's based off of your hard drive. So for those of y'all who are not tech savvy, your hard drive is basically the actual hardware part of your computer that contains the memory, that contains the memory of your files. Sorry, let me open this up again. Where it contains the memory of your files, your operating system, all that kind of stuff. All right, now Photoshop runs on these. All right, so what it means is that if your hard drive is full, you're going to run out of scratch disk space and you're not going to be able to save your image. So for example, let's just say I open up, let's see. Let me go to my computer. I have 5 hard drives. And I have my Photoshop connected to 2 of them, which is these 2. Because I had mine connected to my local disk before, okay? So your local disk is going to be your main hard drive, and you can see a little Windows icon on there because that's where my operating system loads from when I open my computer. So if I have my Photoshop on this local disk, it's most likely not going to be able to save anything that's higher, that's too high of a file size, because it's so close to being filled up that if I fill it up with the next file size, it's going to say we can't save because scratch disks are full. Okay, so if that ever happens, this is where you would be choosing how much more memory you're going to need for your scratch disk. So I have 2 of them open over here. So just keep that in mind. For those of y'all who have really full memory space, you may need more space in your hard drive. If anything ever messes up, you can reset preferences on quit. And the last thing I want to show y'all is this. So let's just say you've messed everything up. So I'm just going to mess up my window really quick. Oh no, clumsy Mr. Jesse doesn't know what he did, and now all his windows are everywhere. All right, how do I fix that? Okay, easiest thing to do, go to workspace. All right, if you already know which workspace you're using, you can just click one of them, but you can always reset your workspace by clicking reset over here. And it's on essential because I'm on the essentials one. So if I click that, it should bring all of my windows back to these areas. All right. And you can also make your own workspace. If you really like how your windows are set up, you can press new workspace, Jesse 1, and it should save right here as Jesse 1. So I'm able to click these and re-get my workspace whenever I like. So these are some ways to kind of bring back whatever you've messed up on in terms of the interface, if anything ever happens, so that you can go back into your normal drawing mode. If something's wrong with your tools, probably better to reset preferences. If something's wrong with, how your interface looks, it's probably better to reset your workspace. Under Window, though, you have all of the other little things over here that you can open up. So what does that mean? So kind of like what you all just saw, Photoshop has these little window workspaces over here that you can click and drag, and you could separate them. Like if I wanted these 3 tabs separated, I could. If I wanted them on top of each other, I would just snap them like this. So it should turn into like a blue line when you connect 2 borders with each other. You can even snap them onto the side, kind of like that. You can snap them into the tabs, kind of like that. So you can customize your workspace however you'd like in order to, make it to, your own version of what makes it easiest for you to grab what. All right. So all of these little windows can be found here. Oh, if I don't see my layers tab, so let's just say my layers tab is like gone. All right, I can go to Windows and I can look for my Layers tab and I can open it up again. But y'all can kind of see how helpful it is to have a saved workspace up here so that you can return to it whenever y'all need. All right, that way you wouldn't have to go into each one of those little windows and all that stuff. And if you go back to your workspace and you've messed it up, it's usually going to stay messed up until you reset it. All right, so I'm just going to press reset again, and it should bring me back to my current workspace. Do we have any questions about how to reset preferences or how to, like, open and close your windows, all that kind of stuff? No? I know for some of y'all who know Photoshop, this is a review, but it might, but so yeah, just bear with me if this is like a super reviewy for y'all. But yeah, I heard someone turn on their mic. Did they have a question? No? Okay. So let's go over some of the tools. Okay. So as you all know, we got all of our basic stuff up here. For now, all I want you all to know is, File, Edit, and Windows. You can go ahead and play around with the other stuff up here too on your own free time, but we'll slowly go over what each of these like tabs up here will do and all that kind of stuff. But first thing I want to go over is let's make sure that you have something that looks like this open. Oops. So let's make sure that we're all on Essentials first, okay? And when you're on Essentials, you should have something like this, all right? And you can close and open these over here. I like to have them closed. And then you can make them smaller too if you want so they don't bother you. So, oops. You can also snap it to the side like this if you all want. But let's try to make sure that we have something like this. I'm going to move my tabs up here. I don't need these. I have color on. Okay. And let's go over some of the tools, all right? So B, or if you click this little brush icon, is gonna be for brush. Okay, your brush tool is basically the same tool as your pencil tool, your pen tool, whatever y'all saw on Sketchbook, that's the tool to use. Okay, and E is gonna be for eraser, or if you click this little eraser icon over here, you're gonna get E. All right. Now to make your brush heads and your eraser heads, any of the tools bigger or smaller, you're going to press left bracket, okay, and right bracket, okay? So this makes it smaller, and this makes it bigger on the keyboard. All right? So here's what I want you all to do really quickly right now is using B and E as shortcuts and then left bracket and right bracket. So it's the buttons right on top of your enter button next to the P key. All right. What I want y'all to do is just to do like some quick sketching. Just have some fun. Just try out your brush tool, try out your eraser tool. If you mess up, press E. If you need to make your brush bigger, press the bigger bracket. If you need to make it smaller, press the left bracket. But just kind of play around with your brush tool right now and just kind of sketch something for fun. A little character here. So go ahead and try it out. I want everyone to get used to pressing B and E and just kind of sketching out stuff. All right? Just draw anything you want to. So get used to it. Draw some things. Just have some fun. All right? And just go for it. All right, so we'll do this for about like 5 minutes, okay? Just kind of play around with it. B-E, okay? Sketch some things. And something I want to show y'all too is if y'all click this over here on the top, so this should be your brush head. You can get different kinds of brush heads over here. You have your general brushes, so you can try out different brushes. Okay, so this one has more of an opacity on there. All right. This one has, like pressure size. So test them out, all right? And you can also go to Windows and then brushes over here, and you should have a window for all your brushes too. If you like them out like this, personally for me, I love having my brushes like this. So I usually connect it with my toolbar like this. So I have one on the left and one on the right. So you can get all these different kinds of brushes, erasers, etc. So yeah, play around with it for 5 minutes, like I said. So we'll continue kind of talking about this more in like probably like 3 minutes. Yeah. So when it hits like 8:36. Yeah, just get used to it. B for brush, E for eraser. Make things bigger, make things smaller. So yeah, play around with it now. Just like go for it. So while y'all are doing that, some other things I want to kind of go over is if you press Z or if you click this little like magnifying glass, you can zoom in. And if you hold Alt while clicking, you can zoom out. Same as Sketchbook, if you hold spacebar, you should be able to click and drag and move around your canvas. All right? And for those of y'all who can't move around your canvas, you probably got to press F. So if you press F, it'll put you to full screen mode, and full screen mode usually lets you kind of click and drag it around. So go ahead and play around with that. Just kind of get used to it. All right? And we'll have 3 different full screen modes. We have our tabs mode, which usually has our windows and stuff. We'll have our regular full screen mode, which has our full screen with the interface. And then we have true full screen, which is just everything is full screen. So yeah, draw some stuff, erase some stuff, click and drag, play around with that, get used to it. It's really, really important to make sure that you have proper workflow. And just like a heads up, just because we're using Photoshop does not mean you can't use Sketchbook to help you out too. All right, part of being a good artist is making sure that you use all your tools efficiently. So for me, I like using Sketchbook to do certain things. I like the paintbrush in Sketchbook, which is very painty, and I really like the perspective tool. Everything else I prefer to do in Photoshop. So I work a lot faster in everything else in Photoshop. But for those 2 things, I'll jump back to Sketchbook to do. I also really like the marker tool in Sketchbook. It feels like a marker. All right. So if you've drawn on your canvas a little bit, okay, here's what we're going to kind of go over next, all right, is we're going to go over a couple more shortcuts, and then we're going to jump into some really important tools to start with. So, yeah, now that you've so everyone got a chance to kind of play around a little, right? Yes, no, maybe. Okay. Well, anyways, be sure to play around with it. Be sure to get used to using B, E, all that kind of stuff, all right? So, I don't want to go over too much on brushes yet because, I don't want y'all to get confused on like, oh, what brush should I use for what? All right. For now, like, just kind of stick to the round brush, and you can have round brush with opacity, just your typical, like, basic ones. But I'm kind of jumping onto this now over here. So let's talk about layers, all right? So the layers icon, the layers windows over here is going to have a couple of things that I kind of need to go over that is really important. So we'll go over all of this stuff as time kind of goes on, but generally, when you first open up your file, you're going to have one layer, and that's going to be your background layer, the one that we kind of set from the new tab. All right. And then afterwards, what you're going to notice is that it's locked. Okay. It's always going to be locked. Okay. And there's two ways you can unlock it. All right. The first one is you just click the little lock button. Okay. And it'll go away. The second one is if you make a new layer, all right? And the way you want to do this is, or if you duplicate this layer, all right? So we'll go over how that works in a bit, but before we start doing that, let's go over these buttons here, all right? So under your layers, you're gonna have a couple buttons down here, okay? We're gonna have this little link button, which we'll go over way later. We're gonna have a little, this button for effects over here, your masking button, okay, which we'll go over later today probably. This button here, which we'll go over some other time. And then we got our groups. So this creates groups. And we have the new layer button. All right. If you click and drag your layer to one of these things, it will apply that effect onto the layer. So if you click and drag your layer to the new layer button, it will actually duplicate your layer. So if I do this and I click and drag it, it will make another copy. And you can see from my thumbnail on the bottom right over here. And for those of y'all who are having a really hard time to see it, I'll just do this really quick. You can really see that they're the same exact thing when I click and drag it to the new layer button. If I click and drag all of these into the group button, it's going to put them all in a group together. All right, and you can click and drag your layers freely to or reorganize them the way you'd like to. And I like this a lot more than Sketchbook's like layer thing. Sketchbook has like a button to click and drag. That's inefficient. I don't know maybe it's easier for the programmers to program it that way, but it's so much more difficult for the artists to use because of that. So I really like the way the layers feel on here. All right, so again, like you're going to, you can make new layers by clicking these as well, but if you click and drag them to the new layer button, it will create a duplicate. And it will delete if you click and drag these into the trash can. All right, you can also click what you want. If you hold shift, you can click multiple of them, or if you hold control, shift or control. If you hold control, it will select one at a time. If you hold shift, it'll select everything from the first one you click to the second one you click. And then what you can do is you can delete them. Just like that. All right. So very useful to know. Very helpful. It's kind of how the layers work, okay? You never ever want to work on your background layer unless you're working on the background itself and you're toning it and whatever. But yeah, that's kind of how the layers work over here. And we have our opacity up here. We have our fill, which is very similar to opacity, and then we have our blending modes up here. So this is where like multiply would be, color dodge, all that kind of stuff. For this upcoming project, I have to go over with y'all like a lot of these things over here and how I use it to like kind of color my image. So we'll be going over that for sure like later on in, not today's class, but later on as kind of like class goes by. Do we have any question about layers or anything before I move forward? No? Okay, so everyone understands like how brushes, like, how to use your brush, B, right? E for eraser, making things bigger and smaller, all that kind of stuff, right? Cool. So make sure, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Photoshop does have a very high learning curve, and just like a heads up, this class does not require the Photoshop class yet, but it is recommended to take that class before you take this class. So as it says like on the catalog, so this is I can't go over every single little thing in Photoshop. So a lot of questions are probably going to be like asked as like we kind of go on. So just kind of keep that in mind. So other things that I want to go over, let's see. So we went over layers over here. You have your colors tab over here. That's really good to know too. You can always open that up from your windows, and I'll show you all how to choose other colors and stuff too. Now back to like back to the layers tab. So when you make a layer, some things that you can remember that are really helpful is you can actually fill in the color with whatever your colors are, okay? And here's how you know what colors you have. So you have two color choices on the left over here, all right? They're right here in the corner, right under my little banana that John helped me like achieve. Thanks, John. And then basically, if you click on the color, you can choose whatever color you want. All right, so if I click on the black and I want to turn it into red, there we go. If I click on the white and I want to turn it into green, there we go. And if you want to switch them, you can switch them, all right? So whatever color you're using right now, if you click it, you can switch. And this is really useful to know because maybe sometimes you're going to have a lot of different colors, you know, that you have like, you know, you're constantly eye dropping like different colors, which we'll have to go over later on, but not today. And what will happen is like whenever you need to switch these colors, you can just easily switch them here, or you can press X. So X is to switch between different colors. So if I want to use pink, X, blue, X, pink, X, blue, X, pink. All right. So why don't you all try doing that right now? Pick two colors and then switch between them and just kind of paint on top of this. I'll give you all like a minute to do so. So when it hits like 8:45, we'll continue. So try doing that. And once you're done doing that, press D. D will reset you to black and white no matter what. So X, color, 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 color. Doesn't matter what brush you use, but just try it out. And then press D to reset. And every color, these will change depending on whatever swatches you have too. There are different kinds of swatches, but you could choose just about any color here. These are RGB. This is RGB here. Okay, so there's tons of different colors you can choose from. Every color is identified by letters and numbers down here too. All right, so it's just kind of good to know. And like we technically you don't have to know any of these like letters and there's just like a billion or something. I don't know. There's just so many, but it's just kind of good to know. You know, just so you know that you know there are going to be times where you know everyone knows like 00000 is black. You know, stuff like that. All right, but it's not like set in stone that you have to know all of these, but you know, it's just kind of good to know that every color is coded in some kind of way. But yeah, X is to switch between colors, and then D is the default. Now, if you want to fill in your whole layer with something or whatever you have selected, you can hold Alt and Delete to fill in with the front color. And if you want to fill it in with the back color, so I'll make the back color green, you're going to press Control and Delete. So let's go ahead and try that. So Alt Delete, Control Delete, Alt Delete, Control Delete. So if I wanted my whole picture to be blue, Alt Delete. If I wanted my whole picture to be the background color, so make it yellow, Control Delete. All right, this also works when you press backspace. So if you press Alt backspace, Control backspace, same thing. So go ahead and try that out super quick. I'll give you all like a minute. So when it hits like 8:48 or 8:47 actually, it's not too far. It's not too hard to do this. But yeah, give it a shot. Alt delete, Control delete. Okay, and it will fill in the layer that you have selected over here. All right. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Mhm. 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 That's true. That is a very good point. Thank you so much for saying that, John. So, yeah, as y'all kind of heard, like, that's a really great way to use it, especially since like so just so y'all know, every computer screen is going to look different, and every printer is going to be different. All right, now we can't, for the hexadecimal codes and the printing part, we're going to have to adjust the printer. But when you are transferring it on to another software and you have to make sure you have the right color, those little codes that John was talking about, that's so good, like right here, these ones, that will really come in handy if you let's just say you have to use your friend's computer, but their screen just totally sucks. You know, it's just like super dark, whatever. You're not sure if it's the right color when you go in and kind of pick things out manually. So this is where it'll come in handy, is even though their screen might not be as good and it might not come out the way it looks on yours, you'll be 100% sure that you have the same color because you have that number. Or if you use a different software, as John was saying, you can be sure that you have the same color because you have that number. So super helpful to have those things on, to know how to use these things and to have those numbers. So I'm sure you all just tried out these things just now over here. All right. Some last couple of things. If you press R, or if you click this over here, you should be able to rotate. And if you hold Shift, you should be able to snap your rotation as well. All right. So that's really helpful to have if you're a rotator, if you like to rotate your drawing as you like draw or paint. It's really helpful to have. Some other things before we get started learning the tools is going back to the brush tool. Something I want to show you all is any tool, if you hold Shift, you can make a straight line with. Let me make this thinner so that it looks more straight. Kind of like that. And if you hold Shift, if you click and you hold Shift and you click again, it'll make a straight line towards that direction. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, you got to be kind of careful. Like I know what you're talking about. It's like when you're doing this and then it does that, right, or something, right? Or it'll make like a really thin line, like just barely noticeable, like kind of like this. The trick to that is kind of like what you were saying exactly. You just want to make sure you let go of Shift, make a new dot, and then you hold Shift again when you're making your path. So I let go of Shift, make a new dot, hold Shift, just like that. Yes. It would. It would. It's there's some ups and downs for both of them. Like Sketchbook, I really love like the quality of the brushes in Sketchbook. Like I think the round brushes are still better in Photoshop, but like all the textured brushes in Sketchbook are very like traditional feeling. And huh? Uh-huh. Oh man, it feels like a pencil. I like it too, but wait till I give y'all my pencil brush for photo. Yeah, I have a really nice pencil brush for Photoshop that I think the pencil brush is really nice in Sketchbook, but I love my pencil brush a lot. But I do agree with y'all. It is a really gorgeous brush, and it does some amazing line work in like sketchbook, like especially if you want to just do something really light and like sketchy, like it just works perfectly for it. Okay, let's see, what time is it? 8:52. Trying to think. So here's what we'll maybe do for the time being is how about we take a quick break for 15 minutes. So let's come back at, well, a little bit more than 15 minutes. How about that? I'll round it up a little. So let's come back at like 9:10ish. And then when we come back, we'll start working on, I'll start kind of showing y'all different little tools that we are going to start off kind of like learning how to use. All right, so we'll take break a little bit early today, just because like I don't want to like start the lesson, take a break in between, and then resume the lesson. I just kind of want to start from the lesson and keep going. So yeah, let's come back at like 9:10, so like a 17-minute-ish break. All right, so a little bit more than 15, and when we get back here, we'll go over the lasso tool, so selections, and then how to like move them around and stuff. And also, by the way, did everyone download the Photoshop exercises I sent over? They're on what is it? Canvas too, just like a heads up. Awesome, awesome. Hello, I'm back in case anyone needs help on anything or wants to chat for the remainder of break. Oh, sure, yeah, we can talk after class. All right. Anyone do anything cool over the weekend? I feel you, man. I feel you. I feel like it's been really busy recently. Well, I bet it's super busy for y'all. Like midterms are probably going on, if not this week, last week, or next week. What'd you say? Oh, nice. That's always a good time. Oh, well, that's always a good time indeed. Man, like I miss what is it? Seeing my friends. Like I see them like now and then, but like it's really sketchy to like go out. Like I went to this restaurant the other day and like we were sitting outside, but they did not like seat us all 6 feet from each other, and that was like really, really, really shady. Like, I was just like, oh man, like I don't know what's happening, but oh man, that's a lot of work, Brandon. Well, I appreciate the effort, man. Hard work pays off. Y'all want to see some work I did this week? Yeah? Okay. So, no, I'm not going to show you all the renders. The renders don't look good yet. I already showed you all these, I believe, like the form studies and stuff. And then like these are my quarter views for like my props. It's kind of how those turned out. Surprisingly, he liked this one the most. But I don't know. I really like the robot looking ones, but that's me. Yeah, this one's pretty cool too. Like I like how yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm glad you got the reference. Yeah, it's like a toucan, and I kind of made like a tree sort of situation, but I also implemented some of the feet as the design for the tree trunk. So that one turned out super cool. Yeah, this week I have to do something kind of difficult. So for this one we had to take like an organic theme and like create a man-made like hand something that we can hold in our hands. So we had to make like remake a man-made like how or human-made like house sort of like tool. So like a desk lamp. It could be like a kettle or anything that we can hold in our hands that's like human made and implement. So I did like a bird and a desk lamp, as y'all can kind of tell. But this week we're doing the opposite. So we had to take a human made object and create some sort of plant or berry using that. And that's it's really fun, but it's really tough. Like just choosing the human made object is really tough already because some of the things work, but some of the things don't. And it's like, and you can make it work, but it's just like so tough to do so. So I ended up doing like a bell. So so I've got a bunch of different kinds of bells, so like chimes, that instrument that like you shake around with the bells on there, all that kind of stuff. So I'll be using those objects and like turning them into some sort of like plant sort of thing. Oh yeah, and I did a really cool sketch. I really like this sketch, so I'll show it to y'all. Thought this was really cool. A flower. Oh man, it's like a reminds me of like a pitcher plant. This is like a quick like thumbnail I kind of just like roughed up to with a couple of friends on a paint night. So I thought this was really fun. But I am kind of torn between having these things in here. So like I'm not sure if I want to have that extra thing on the left or take it out because I like the openness of it, but this is really nice for scale over here. Because we have something big, something medium, something small, and then we have the people here to kind of compare this to. But then I also feel like it kind of blocks, it keeps my eye in the picture, so that's good, but I kind of like how the left side was open to like bring our eye in as well. Yeah, we'll see. Any of y'all have a preference? Do y'all like it with the pillar or without the pillar? Pillar's good? Hmm. Okay, maybe I'll do it with the pillar. Uh-huh. That's it's a slightly going in already. I don't know if I want to tilt it too much because I want the feeling of this picture to feel really tall. So using vertical lines is going to do a really good job making that grand scale. But I can probably tilt one or two of these maybe this one just like a little bit more. But I don't know. I'll probably keep in the pillar since you're saying that you like it in there. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Hmm. Oh, I actually start off with a sketch. Yeah. And then I just paint it over it. Yeah, I drew this. Yeah, start off with that over here. Yeah, and then I just kind of went on from there. Yeah, it was interesting. I actually started off with a bunch of scribbles, and then from the scribbles, this is kind of what I saw in there. So I use it. This is like a technique where we use called drawing from abstraction. So kind of like looking at clouds, you just kind of draw whatever you see in there. And the trick and the best and the a great way to use this is when you have like art block and you can't think of something, you let your imagination kind of organically do the work. So it was just like a bunch of it kind of started off just like this. So yeah, I just started off with like a thumbnail, and then I just went like so just kind of like that. And then from here, I was just like, oh, okay, I kind of see like, what if this was a mountain? What if this was like another mountain down here? Maybe there's someone down here, kind of like that. And maybe like we can add some clouds in the background or something, and then maybe some clouds going atmosphere here. So I just drew it off of abstraction, and I just made something from it and just kind of like edited it from there. Maybe nothing here. Yeah, it's super helpful. Actually, later on, I'm gonna show you all a way to do this, but with the stamp tool. Yeah, cause it's a uh-huh. Yeah, that's just a night scene. I'm not gonna go over that though, cause I'm gonna let everyone kind of choose the colors they want for their own scene. But originally I was gonna have everyone do a night scene, but I thought it might be kind of more fun to like be able to choose the colors based off of the mood that you wanted to portray. Yeah. Uh-huh. 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 Yeah, definitely. I think I'll do one for the class, like yeah, if you wanted to wait until the class day, I think I'll just end up doing one for the class in case people wanted to do night scenes. I'll probably do three scenes, like a day scene, a night scene, and like a sunset sort of situation. Like just to kind of show you all. And then like I'll go over how I pick colors, things like that. So, but yeah, if you still wanted to do the appointment just for your own personal picture, that's totally fine too. I'm more than happy to help out. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so let's resume the class. Sorry, we got a little off topic there, but always fun to talk to you all about art. So the first one we're going to open up is we're going to open up the first file. It should say move and selection tools. I kind of want to go over move and selection. So usually like I would teach this before I start teaching the brush and eraser tool, but I wanted to show you all the brush and eraser tool just really, really quickly, just so y'all kind of have a hang of like how sketching is going to be like, since we're going to be doing a lot of sketching on Photoshop. So move and selection, okay? So when you want to make selections, all right, you'll tend to see these little trailing ants. We call them like walking ants, or whatever you want to call them. But they usually people refer to them as some sort of ant trail. All right, and as you all kind of remember, we have the selection tools in Sketchbook as well. All right, your selection tools are going to be this tool over here and this tool over here. All right, and if you click and hold, you should be able to get different options for all of the tools. So we got the polygon lasso, we got the normal lasso, we got a magnetic lasso, which I can go over a little bit, but I don't really use it that much. Um, Over here we have like our marquee tools. If you want to make square selections, if you want to make circular selections, you can do so. Okay, so it's really important to kind of know how to use these, because the nice thing about Photoshop is our selection tools are a lot more fluid in Photoshop. All right, it's very easy to make selections, deselect stuff, use different sort of selections. Okay, so in order to kind of make selections, you're going to hold Shift to make selections. All right, so what I want you all to do is I want you all to practice making selections right now with different shapes. So here's circles, Here's with the square, I can add more squares. I can subtract the square or subtract my selection by holding Alt. All right, so Shift and Alt are the two buttons you want to remember. All right, and if I color this in, or if I fill it, you can see that it is in selection, okay? Now, something good to kind of know is that we have this little feather thing up here. Feather is going to make your selection softer. So you can see my edges are a little softer. But if I turn it to 0, you have to redo the selection, unfortunately. But if I return that to 0 and I go for it, you're gonna get very hard edge selections over here. All right. So using the marquee tool, we can make a whole bunch of selections. Okay. And same with the lasso tool. If we get the lasso tool, we can circle what we want. All right. Make that selection. If we hold Shift, we can make more. There's also the feather tool up there. Polygon lasso can make edges, really nice angular, edgy looking shapes, kind of like that. All right. And then you can also subtract them by holding Alt 2. Okay, so try making a couple selections first, okay? Try to kind of play around with that. And basically, what you can do with the selections is when you have things selected, it's basically like having things highlighted in Microsoft Word. So what you could do is you can copy and paste. So if I press Control C, I can press Control V to paste. And if you paste, it'll usually paste it on a new layer. All right, so we're going to have a new layer over here. Okay, so let's see. So basically, here's what I want you all to do. Yes, yeah. Control V, V for Vendetta, and Control C for copy. All right. So you can copy and paste these, and they'll go on different layers. All right. So basically, the first thing I want you all to do is I want you all to recreate this block over here, okay? Now, as you all can see, some of the shapes are a little bit too big, and they're a little bit too, and they need to be tilted, right? So here's how you can fix that. Sorry, give me a second really quick, y'all. Let me plug in my headphones. They're like running out of battery. Awesome, perfect. Uh-huh. Yes. So, I didn't want to go over this yet, but so once you let go, you can move around the selection if it's not on the same layer as the thing you're selecting. So if I click this and actually here's this. So if you make a marquee, you can move it around without moving your selection. But once you press V, so V is actually your move tool, y'all. So if you press V, or if you go to this up here, it'll be your move tool. Once you press V, it'll move whatever's in the selection. So if you have nothing selected and you press V, you can move everything on that layer. So if I combine these two layers here and I'm on my move tool, I can move it. If I make a selection, you can move it around, but once I press V, it'll move whatever is inside of my selection. So kind of going back into this, let's start making more selections. Let's copy paste it. And now you're going to press Control T for transform. So transform is going to let you scale your objects and rotate them. And if you hold Shift, you can snap your rotation. Kind of like that. All right. And you can use your arrow keys to move your selected object or any sort of selection or movement at all. So for example, if I wanted to do my box, let's copy paste it. Let's put it here. And then if I use my arrow keys, I should be able to move them together. All right, Control T to scale. And then you're going to make it smaller. And you're going to fill in all of the stuff here. All right. Control V, paste. There we go. Perfect. So once you have everything kind of in here, what I want you all to do, okay, is let's just say all of this is filled up. Okay, what I want you all to do is I want you to combine your layers. So you're going to click, hold shift, take all your layers. You're going to right click and merge them. So these are all on one layer. And then you're going to take the box and you're going to copy it over onto this video game interface. So you should have like a full-on box. Okay. So sorry, I use a different copy command to do this, but just so y'all can kind of see what it looks like, it should fill up all like this. So the rest of these clear spaces should have these colored in blocks. All right. Does anyone have any questions?
How do you after you do the control V
Uh-huh.
try and drag the object into the box?
Yeah.
How exactly do you copy it again? That way you don't click the whole thing.
So you're just gonna press. You're just gonna go to this. You're gonna select what you want. Control C to copy. Control V to paste. Go to your move tool by pressing V and just move it over. And then if you have to rescale stuff, that's where you press Control T and you rescale and adjust. Just like that.
Okay, so first it's control C
Uh-huh.
and then control V.
Yep.
Yeah, it didn't work.
It's because you're probably not on the same layer as the objects you're trying to copy. So you have to make sure that you have your shapes layer selected when you copy. Otherwise, it's going to be copying whatever's on the layer that you're currently selected on.
Now try that too, it didn't work.
Okay. It doesn't?
No.
Okay.
Whenever I do like control V, it completely changes the whole screen. I don't know what it does.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see.
Do we hold control V or do we just press control V?
You should be able to press it. Okay. So let's try this. Go to your shapes layer. Go to your marquee tool and select something. Go to edit. Go to copy. Make sure that it's on the same layer. So if you click on and off, it should be like it should turn on and off. Go to edit, go to copy, and then go to edit, and then go to paste. And then you should get a second one. Does that work then?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
got it.
yeah.
Okay.
You guys are you still using Max? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's not control on a Mac, it's command.
Yeah. Yeah, so for those of y'all using Macs, yeah, it's going to be command instead of control. And instead of clicking like the image button, you're going to click your little like Apple icon to get to the edit preferences sort of stuff.
Oh, I'm not on a Mac. I'm on an Omen.
Omen?
Yeah, it's a HP.
Yeah, so it's a Windows.
Windows.
Okay.
I'm using a Windows
Yeah.
Okay.
but it should still be control on there.
Hmm.
I know. I don't know why. When I was doing control V, it would like move the whole screen. It would show my background, like the wallpaper I have on my desktop.
Yeah, that's really weird. I've actually never ran into that issue before, but it sounds like that your computer is linked to a shortcut that may minimize your windows or do something when you press those keys. That I might actually Google and look into. But as of right now, you could probably do the edit thing. So just edit and copy and paste. So once you all have everything kind of in there, make sure to right click, merge your layers, and then bring down everything you have here. So you should be filling up this space. Anybody have any questions on how to do this? Anybody running into some trouble on doing this?
Like, how do you like?
What's up? Who wants to?
You can go first.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so you fill up the whole box down there, or you just put the box in there?
Just this box. Just fill this up and then throw this down. So that's pretty much it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it should only go up to about this high. Yeah, once it goes to about this high, you're done. So
All right.
so it's just a copy paste and transform and move tool and selection tool exercise.
Wait,
So
what's the how do you do the transform?
Control T for transform.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Or Command T for those of y'all using Macs. If you're using a Mac, it's Command. So
Anytime you said control, that's command on Mac.
mhm
Because control on Mac is completely different.
mhm.
Kind of stupid, but Apple.
So I'm gonna give y'all about like a couple minutes to just kind of work on this, maybe until it hits like 9:30. And when it hits 9:30, we're gonna move on to the next one over here, which is gonna be more on selection. So we're gonna learn about Magic Wand tool a little bit in quick selection. Open up the rest. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask about this current one. I'm going to give you all a little bit of time to kind of like work on some of these things during the class today, just so like if you all run into any issues, like I could help you all out along the way. For those of y'all who know how to do the rest of these, feel free to go ahead and get started on doing it. Yeah, this is all we're going to be going over today. So once you're done with that, like, we're pretty much, that's pretty much the class today, y'all. So if you know how to do any of these things, and you're 100% sure, like, you know how masking works, how brushes and blending works, how like hue and saturation works and all that kind of stuff, you're welcome to just get started doing these.
Spencer,
Yo,
you show, while you were doing that before in progress, can you show me how you do that orange L shape? Because it looks like you just do it, it's like maybe flip the piece
oh yeah,
on
sure.
this part.
Sorry, that's a good question. Sorry, I should have shown you all that. So for this one over here, the flipped one, when you go to transform, you're gonna right click it and then you're gonna press flip horizontal, and then you should be able to tilt it to the right, to the right way. Thanks for that, Jonathan. Like yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh-huh. Yeah, just kind of like that. So same for this green one over here. So transform tool can give you a lot of really cool options. Let's flip this, tilt it, move it in, just like that. And the thing about your transform tool is if you hold shift, it will let you scale however you'd like. But if you don't hold shift, it'll let you scale proportionally. Or it might be flipped depending on the version you're using. Just a heads up, like this is probably the one small thing in like Photoshop where like a bunch of y'all might have it flipped the other way.
I don't know why they changed it.
I know it used to not be like that. It used to be the other way, where like you have to hold shift to scale proportionally, which makes sense because that's like everything else. It snaps. But I guess for now, like they just made it not that way. Hello, can you all hear me?
Were you supposed to be talking that whole time?
Yeah, I was. Oh man, like I think my mic cut out for a second. Okay, so let me re-say what I was like trying to say. I apologize for that, y'all. So So basically, we are going to start using our magic wand tool to start selecting stuff, okay? So your magic wand tool is based off of the tolerance, okay? So what it does is your magic wand will select everything that is the same color or tone. So by clicking and holding shift, I'm able to select all of the purple in the background. Now the tolerance is going to be based off of how tolerant you want, how much of the other colors do you want to select as well? Okay, so what that means is if I have the tolerance at 0, it's going to only select things that are the same shade and the same tone and the same color. So if I click the hand, it'll select everything that's exactly the same as the tone that I hit. So you can see those little areas that's not selected are actually slightly different tones in pixels. So the higher I set the tolerance, the more it'll select. So if I select this again at 10, it'll select all these parts. If I set it at 50, it should select probably the fingernails and the shadows too. There we go. So we can kind of see it selected these lines. If I hold shift, I can select these too. But what I want you all to do first is I want you all to select the background kind of like this and kind of go in and select the stuff in between as well. And there is a way to do this by going without having to do the whole like selection. Like there's a way to do it like all at once, but I want you all to practice kind of making selections. So the really bright pink ones should not be selected. The darker pink ones can be selected. We're going to make those a little bit bluer. Maybe not on 50 though. Let's turn it back to like 30 because it's starting to select parts of the hair. But what I want y'all to do is to select stuff. If you mess up, hold Alt. Make sure to double check your in-betweens, kind of like this. Let's go here. There we go. Let's get some of these in. Up top too. Perfect. So yeah, something similar to this, okay? So make sure to get your in-betweens. Don't mess up on that. Just double check everything. Perfect. And now that I have like pretty much everything selected, what we're going to do is you're going to go to Image and you're going to go to Adjustments. Now these are going to be the tools you use to edit the way your photo or your image looks. All right, and we're going to go to Hue and Saturation. Okay, from there, you should be able to change the color with hue, the saturation of the color. So if you want it grayer, if you want it more colorful, you can also go back to 0, and the brightness and darkness. And if it wasn't selected, it would have affected the whole image. So from this selection, we could start pushing this over more to kind of like a turquoisey kind of feel. Just like that. And these pink flowers, they can be a little bit bluer too, but I'm choosing to keep them kind of pink just to kind of show y'all like how these selections work over here. But if you wanted to change the pink too, you could also reselect these and do so. You see, I forgot this little section in the middle here, y'all, so that's kind of what it looks like when you forget a section. So practice doing your selections. Go back and fix them up. If I have very little selections like this, like actually, you know what? I'm not going to show you all that yet because it might mess up everything. So you see, going back to do those, going back to hue and saturation. If you all want the shortcut for hue and saturation, is Control U. And then you can push that more bluer. So y'all can see like these petals. I forgot this one here. It's starting to become more bluer. And the same goes for the shirt. So over here is where you're going to have to change the tolerance, because it's going to select all the blue in the background. So I changed it to 0. Let's select this. Now, if you're having a little bit of trouble kind of selecting, another type of selection you can use is the Quick Selection tool. So the Quick Selection tool is very, very similar to the Magic Wand tool, except what it will do is it will select things based off of what you paint over. So if I get like my brush here, I can hold Alt to subtract, Hold shift to add, kind of like that. There we go. Perfect. And then from there, I should be able to change the tone of his shirt. There we go. Y'all can see I forgot a little bit over here, right? Just a little bit. So make sure to get those in. Hair tone.
Do that whole coloring thing again?
Which one?
How do you like switch the colors again? Like what's the key for that?
You go to image, you go to adjustments, and then hue and saturation. And then there should be a shortcut next to it, depending on what you. So yours might be command U. But yeah, go to image and adjustments, and then y'all can check from there. And the same for the hair. So let's go back to Magic Wand, set your tolerance up, select the hair. Anybody Demon Slayer fans here? Yeah, so good. Can't wait for the movie to come out. It's supposed to come out soon, right? But I think did it get delayed again because of COVID?
Who knows anymore?
Fair enough. Awesome. So this is kind of the outcome over here. All right. So we have our friend Tanjiro, and he has his new outfit with a new background, just the way he wants it in the picture that he showed us. The flowers are a little bit too pink here, but just for the class sample, I wanted to kind of show you how the magic wand would kind of work with these selections. So, you know, but yeah, you should get something kind of similar to this. I'm not going to be too picky about like, you know, getting the colors exactly right. Like, you know, this is a little bit lighter than this over here, but as long as you get like something quite similar, like you'll get the points for this one. So this is like a very quick magic wand, quick selection and hue and saturation tool, sort of like sort of an exercise over here. Yeah, I'll let y'all work on this for around three-ish more minutes. Yeah, so maybe when how about 5 minutes? So when the clock hits 9:47, I'm gonna move on to kind of this one over here, which is gonna be we're gonna go over more digital sketching and brushing and well, more like just digital sketching, like digital sketching process on here. This one's not gonna take super long because this is gonna be very similar to stuff that we've done before. Now we can also go over this over here too, which is pretty much the same as what we're going to be using. The same thing we're using in the Tanjiro one. Actually, I'll go over the flower before I go over this one. Hey, I'm going to be right back really quick, y'all. I really got to use the restroom again. All right, y'all, I'm back. Oh, man, I'm glad I remind you of the movie, Brandon. It's a good movie to remember because I'm sure it's going to be a really awesome movie when it comes out. And for those of y'all who are done with the Tanjiro one, you can start working on the flower one over here. So for this one, it's pretty much the same thing, except I want you to change only the color of the lotus. All right, only the color of the lotus. So for this one, I would actually use my quick selection tool. Just very, very small, very, very quickly just kind of get my selection here. Just kind of like that, right? So using your quick selection tool and then going to hue and saturation and then changing the color. So maybe I want something a little more bluer. Maybe I want something a little bit more orange. Boom. And then you see I got something totally different. Not too vibrant though. There we go. So as y'all can see, the quick selection and the magic wand tool is incredibly useful because you could do really, really quick edits on your image. For example, if I let's get one of my finished arts. Like, let's just say this one. Get my quick selection tool. Get my background. Very, very roughly.
Yeah, where's this kind of stuff on your website?
Oh, it's on my website. I have a lot of stuff on my website. So a lot of the stuff.
I just saw the only things that were popping up for me were the Revenant and the Escape from Paradise, but I couldn't find anything else.
Oh, it's because honestly, I have to redo my website because it's kind of messy now. Because I just kind of threw a whole bunch of stuff on there. Because I got a portfolio review from Nickelodeon not that long ago, and they wanted to see my website, so I just kind of had to throw everything on there. But if you want to see more environments, all you have to do is click environments on top, and I have almost every environment that I did previously, like in within the past like 2 years. There's some ones on there that I've taken off because they're just not that good. But these are probably all of like the ones I have on here. Most of the stuff I have nowadays is very sketchy too, because I have so much finished work. I don't have enough sketch work, so I need to show more sketch work, quick stuff. So I'll give you all another like, let's see, let's work on our selections until 9:55 for the flower one too. Is anyone still working on the flower one that needs help? No? Anyone here still working on the flower one? Or working on the Tanjiro one? If no one's working on it, I'll just move ahead. So that's why I'm kind of asking, but anybody need extra time? I just want to like make sure I walk through this with you all because so this class is going to be a really critical class to ask questions. And you'll have opportunities to ask later on about different things too about the interface, but today's kind of like I want to make sure that everyone has things kind of working correctly. So y'all kind of understand the flow, y'all understand like the interface, things like that. But y'all can already kind of see just with like doing this kind of stuff, like how powerful Photoshop is as a tool. And why Photoshop again? Photoshop not only is just a powerful tool, but it's an industry standard. No matter where y'all go, you might be able to use Procreate, you might be able to use Sketchbook, you might be able to use Corel Painter, Clip Studio, but no matter what, there will always be Photoshop. Photoshop, no matter, I've never seen a company or any sort of situation other than you being your own business selling your own art where like Photoshop wasn't a standard. Like every company that I've been to uses Photoshop in some kind of way, not just like teaching companies, but even like not just what is it, concept companies and design companies, but even like teaching, is an industry standard for Photoshop now. Like I'm required to teach y'all Photoshop, because it's something that we use so much in our daily lives as digital artists. And there's so much you can do on here. You can make GIFs, you can make animations, you can edit photos. Every kind of art is just like made on this. So, anybody need me to hold up for another 4 minutes before I move on to this one? No, y'all want me to move on? Yeah, okay. So for this picture, you all have seen this format many times. You're basically just going to redraw this picture. I put something fun in there because I know we've been drawing a lot of like really technical stuff. So I threw on this picture of this really surprised girl. So what you're going to do is I want you all to practice using your digital tools, okay? So using your brush and eraser, you're going to sketch, color, and line all of these in, okay? So as usual, I'm not going to be checking for accuracy in terms of proportions. I'm just going to be mostly checking to see if you understand how these tools work and the process. So basically what I want y'all to do is just re-sketch this. Again, it doesn't have to be like the best sketch ever, but it should kind of roughly tell us that what's going on here. Okay, so again, it doesn't have to be the best sketch. Just kind of start sketching it as usual. Get your base sketch in. You know, if your proportions are off for her, that's okay, like I said. All right. And then once you're done kind of drawing in, like, you know, your base sketch, you're going to make a new layer. I want you to trace over it. All right, so you're going to make a new layer. You're going to lower your opacity here as usual, okay? And basically what I want you all to do is I want you to trace over these things on a new layer. All right, make very, very clean line art. So you're going to trace over them, erase everything you don't need. Make sure you have a hard eraser for hard edges, you know. So this is just like some really quick sketch practice. Again, I'm not looking for accuracy. I'm just looking to see if you all know how to use these tools. Get used to them because they are the tools we're going to be using for this project and for the rest of the class. Now, another tool I want to teach y'all how to use in this assignment is going to be the eyedropper tool. All right, so for this exercise, you're only going to need a hard round brush and a hard round eraser. But we're going to also color this in, and we're also going to make use of our layers a little bit more. All right. So, and then, yeah, I apologize if the proportions are really off on this for mine. I'm just kind of like just drawing, not really like checking. But what we're going to do is we're going to use the eyedropper tool and kind of get you all used to that, okay? So I'm just going to get some line art. Something really quick. Like, that's good enough. All right, so let's just say I have the whole line art completed. All right, so everything's there. We got everything we needed. All right, here's what you want to do next, okay, is you're going to make a new layer. All right, you're going to turn off your sketch layer, so you should only have your line art. So your end product should look something similar to this. And I want the background elements in there too. So make sure to get your background elements in there. So in the end, you should have like line art. Okay, I can't do it that way. Whoops. It's too dark. So yeah, get all this other stuff in. Get it in looking nice. Get your box here. Practice using your holding shift, etc. Okay. I'm just gonna do like a really quick sketch. Just kind of get stuff in here so I can show y'all how to do the other things. All right. So there we go. Some really quick stuff. She's missing an eye, but that's okay for now. So you should get the whole line art done. You should get all these little other things done. And then here's what you're going to do next is you're going to start coloring, okay? And for the coloring part, I want you all to practice using the eyedropper tool. So if you're on your brush tool and you hold Alt, you should have you should start off with a little crosshair, kind of like this with a dot in the middle. If you don't see that, make sure your caps lock is off first of all, okay? your caps lock will change the interface a little bit of your little brush heads. It'll make it so you can't really see how big your brush is. So if you have your caps lock off, you should be able to see the size of your brush. And what you're going to do is once you have that, you're going to hold Alt. You're going to click on the color that you want, and you should get the exact same color as the color that you've clicked on. There we go. And if you have your line art on the top layer, your line art should like seep through. Shadows a different tone. I want y'all to get shadows for this person too. So we see like shadows like around her eyes, kind of like right here, right? Start off by blocking things in with the main color, so the base color of everything. And then go back in and then make a new layer where you'll add the shadows in on top. So the shadows are going to be on a separate layer than the character. All right, so if we're doing this and we're doing it properly, I would get this whole part kind of blocked in first with just one tone. And then this would be also kind of like this. All right, and then on this layer, you can get your shadows. And then you can get your highlights on another layer or the same layer of your choice, whatever you want. Usually I like to put highlights on a separate layer, but this is so simple, I'm just going to do it on one layer. So you should have, a block in, all right? You should have some shadows and you should have some lights. It's very simple, very hard edge. Now for the background, however, there's a little bit of blending, and you don't have to make it exactly the same. What I want you all to test out is actually the soft brush now. And in order to get the soft brush, you can go down here, you can open it up. Oh, these are my tools. Where are my brushes? Okay, so, oh, there they are. So I have my brushes over here. So again, if you forgot to get there, Windows, brushes. Anytime we need to open a window, you're going to go to Windows. And then you should have under your general brushes over here, you should have like a soft round with opacity. So if it has opacity, you can press lighter for it to feel lighter. You can press harder for it to feel darker. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill up the background. I'm going to use my selection tool. So this is where selection comes in handy again. Make a large brush. Get a basic color for the background. Get a basic color for the right side. And then get the shades and just kind of add them onto the side like this. If you need to push things lighter, you can use the color tool here. There we go. Does that kind of make sense for everyone? Anybody have any questions on how to do this one? It's a really simple picture. All I want you all to do is copy it, but practice using the process that I've showed you all. Sketch. So 1 is your rough. 2, ink. 3, block in. 4, shadow. 5, your lights. Anybody have any questions? No? Y'all are good? No questions? Okay. Let me save. What's up?
For the background, you just make back layers and just paint it, or is it like an
Yeah. I just painted it with a soft brush. So I'll let y'all work on this for like around 5-ish minutes. And then if you have any questions, let me know so that I can answer them as y'all kind of work on this. Again, I kind of want y'all to work on these a little bit as I kind of as I kind of teach so that y'all can kind of get a hang of it. And if you run into any problems, this is where I'll jump in and kind of like help y'all fix it up.
paint something.
Uh-huh.
You wanted to go in and you wanted to change the color of that painting or fill it in or something.
Uh-huh.
The selection always has like a small part that's just too, like, okay, a good example is if I drew a big square
Uh-huh.
and I wanted to fill in that square with paint buckets and I went in and filled it in,
Uh-huh.
there's always this really faint white outline between the square I drew and the square that I actually filled.
Sometimes, yes. There is
And
a
I'm wondering, like, do you have any short, easy ways to get around that? Like, if I were to draw this character here, and I just used, I just drew the circles for the eyes, and then I filled in white,
uh-huh.
it would still have like this really faint rim around the fill and the line that I put down.
Okay. Let's see. So, oh man, I can't remember the tool for it right now, but it's usually up here. I'm gonna have to look into that again, but there's a way to do it. Basically, the way what you want to do is you want to make a mask, and then you want to look for this over here. So I'll send this over on the. I don't know if y'all can see pictures. No, okay. So you're gonna need this over here, opened up.
Need what?
Let me open it up really quick. So there's this like little window. Oh, it's so hard to see. But in your properties up here, there should be a little like mask thing. Actually, if we go back here, let me try this. It's been a while since I've done this. Okay, so if I do that, then make a mask. Okay, oh, there we go. Okay. So if I do this and I make a mask, you can actually refine your mask over here. So if I have my mask over here, I can actually feather out my edges a little bit. So what I'll do sometimes is I'll make the color like all the way to the edge. I'll kind of color in and I'll kind of feather it out and I'll like refine my mask a little bit too. So if I go over here, I have my mask down here. So that's already made. So if I go to like select mask up here, you can actually smooth out stuff, feather out stuff a little bit more. You could shift your edges a little bit so that things feel a little bit more clean. It's going to be a little bit more clear when I actually have like the demo up to show you, but I don't want to get into masks too much just because I don't want to get into this too much yet because it might confuse some people. But this is kind of the thing that you're looking for over here is like making a mask.
I know that there were like the two ways I used to do it were
Uh-huh.
I would either paint it in
Yeah.
or I would modify selection and expand it just a little bit.
Oh yeah, that works too. That totally works too. Oh. Okay. Leonie, yeah, you can manage that situation first if you need to. Oh man, I hope everything's okay. Um, but yeah, usually I refine stuff up there. I'll send over a tutorial to you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, I'll go over that like when the time comes, but yeah, I don't want to touch it up. I don't want to talk about it too much because since it's like the first Photoshop class, I don't want anyone to get like overwhelmed with anything. But yeah, I can send over a tutorial to you. We can talk about it. Let's see. Anybody need help on this exercise before I move on? No? Okay. So we're gonna go over the last two, okay? And then afterwards, the rest of the class is just going to be working on this and, and just like asking questions if you need help. But for this one, we're going to practice blending a little bit. So y'all are going to make a new layer. You can set it on multiply, or you can set these layers on multiply. It's up to you. But since this is a white background, it doesn't really matter. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to play around with the brushes a little bit. All right. So using your selection tool, you're going to select these kind of like this, and you're going to make a gradient scale. So I'm going to go to my brushes. By the way, something good to know, y'all, is if you use multiple languages like on your computer, make sure it's set on English when y'all are doing this. Otherwise, like some of the buttons like mess up some of the shortcuts. But basically, you're going to go to so transfer just basically means opacity. So you're going to go to hard pressure opacity for the first one. And what I want you all to do is you're going to make a pretty big brush. And then you all are going to just basically make a gradient. And you can use your eyedropper tool to kind of adjust the gradient a little bit and blend it in. But what I want y'all to practice doing is to practice blending using the hard round brush for the first one. So as y'all can see, I just keep grabbing the middle color, coloring lightly. Got to make sure the right side gets darker, add more values in. Just kind of blend it out. Just like that. So we can see a nice light to dark. We can keep going if we want. Bridge our values together.
I've noticed that on my, at least with my vision or something, like on the gradient, like on the value scale, 9
Uh-huh.
and 10, almost indistinguishable. The only way I can tell the difference between a 9 and a 10
Mm-hmm.
is if hard to tell the difference.
It is pretty hard. Yeah, the contrast is so low too. Between like 9 and 10.
So like a 0 and a 1, I see a little easier though.
Same here. Yeah, actually, it is a lot more distinguishable. And then for the next one, you're going to do hard round with no transfer. So this is going to be this brush over here without any opacity. And what I want you all to do is basically to make a gradient scale, use your eyedropper tool and just kind of go for it. And if you eyedropper in small increments and you make things in small increments, you should be able to get all the in-betweens very, very nicely as best as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect again, like I said. They're all gonna have different looks. But the point of this is to see how they look when you all use them. White for the last one. This one's a little bit more choppy, but we can see a full gradient scale. Next one, we're going to use a soft brush with transfer.
By the way, Professor Todd,
Yo, what's up?
do you use mixer brush to this, or you just have to use regular brush?
Regular brush, no mixer brush. Yeah, only use regular brush right now.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And for the last one, you can choose your own brush. So play around with the different brushes and see what's in there. So you go to Windows, you go to Brushes. I'm just going to choose this one, this Chinese brush. And we can see how different texture brushes and stuff. Now this one's a custom brush I downloaded, so y'all probably don't have this one, but you all should have different kinds of brushes in there to kind of play around with. I'm sure you'll have like these dry media brushes here that y'all could play around with too. But yeah, play around with it, but make a gradient scale using these brushes afterwards, or the ones that you have currently. I will give you all my brushes, but not today. So, make a gradient scale with that. For number 5 and 6, you're only going to use a hard round with transfer. So you're going to need to grab this brush again, but you want to follow these rules here. So the first one is monochromatic, one color, different shades. So if I choose red, I'm going to have different shades of red. Let's get red in here. Bring back my color thing here. It's a lot easier for me to work with. Let's get black on one side and white on another. Color on top of this a little. Let's get this in. Color on top of this a little bit to blend it. Start making my transitions in between, kind of like that. Perfect. And for the 6th one, you're going to do warm to cool color. So you're going to choose one warm color on the left side, one cool color on the right side, and you're going to make the in-betweens. Y'all can see it makes like this grayish purple in the middle.
Yeah, I've noticed complementary colors. If you mix them, they always seem to neutralize the straight gray.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it usually grays out or muddies out into like rather a gray or a brown. Yeah, for this situation, since like there's a green in here and a little bit of orange in the red, I feel like it's like even more complementary. And for number 7, you're going to use the gradient tool. So again, use your selection. All right. Oh, and I forgot to mention for selection, to deselect is Control D. Sorry, I totally forgot to mention that. So if you want to deselect everything, you press Control D. But you can also subtract it by using the subtraction thing. So if you've practiced using that, that's good. For the gradient tool, you're going to go here. It's very simple. You're going to choose black and white. Make sure that you're on black and white here too. And then you're going to click and drag. Oh, set the opacity up higher. Just like that. So you're just going to click and drag for your gradient tool.
There's another nice thing, another command that's really helpful that I use a lot.
Mhm.
If you're
Mhm.
doing something and you make a selection, if you do it's Control Command H,
Mhm.
it gets rid of the marching ants.
Oh yeah.
Selection, but you don't see those things moving around.
Mhm. So in case y'all are wondering what John means, Control H is to hide stuff. So if you want to hide like the selection, but you still want the selection to be there, you can press Control H to actually hide them.
Sometimes it'll ask what you want Control H to do.
Mhm.
It's fine.
Mhm. So for number 8, you're going to start at an opacity that's lower. So for this is your layer opacity. So if you lower this, it's going to lower everything on that layer. Now your brush opacity, however, is going to be up here next to opacity. So anything related to the brush is going to be here. Anything related to your layers is going to be on the right side. So for this, you're going to set your opacity anywhere between 20 to 40. And what you're going to do is you're going to make a gradient using that. And what you'll start to notice is opacity starts to work kind of like a marker that only like gives you a gray. And the more you put on top of it, the darker it'll get. Or the more it will look like the color you've chosen. So if I have a red and I do it on top, and I keep going on top, it'll keep pushing that towards the red that I've chosen. But only in like 30% increments because I have it set on 30. There we go. And then for the very, very last one, you're going to choose 5 colors of your choice and do kind of like a 5-color blend. With a hard round brush, make sure there's transfer on it or opacity, but don't lower the opacity at all. Just keep the opacity at 100, and then choose 5 colors that you want to blend things into. Do orange. And start trying to blend them. So practice blending. Anybody have any questions? No? Okay, let me save this demo. The first 2 demos, I'm not gonna save them because they're so obvious, and you can just watch the videos to kind of get the demo. For these 2, there's a little bit more of an end product, and I wrote some notes, so I'll save these ones over here. Then we're gonna go over masking, but I actually am thinking about going. I think I might go over this on Wednesday instead, just to like keep masking out of it for now. We'll go over masking next week because I want you all to get a hang of these tools before we jump into the masking tools, because you're going to be using some of these techniques to do the masking part. But yeah, other than that, do we have any questions about today's class, the interface, things like that? No, everyone's good? Okay. Okay, cool, perfect. That's music to my ears. So yeah, very basic Photoshop tools today, very basic interface sort of stuff. We will go over more of these as we go on. Again, this isn't a Photoshop class, so this is kind of the crash course for everything we need for this class in general. So, in this class, we're not going to be going over like too much photo editing and things like that. It's going to be specifically only for digital sketching. So if you are interested in learning how to use Photoshop more for other things, be sure to take the Photoshop crash course, the Photoshop class given by our school. And also, there's tons of online resources too to find out how to do stuff. But here's what I want to do for the rest of the class is so I'm gonna finish this up on Wednesday, just so we don't like mix these 2 lessons together. But for the rest of the class, it's just going to be just kind of working on these. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask. And then also, if you know what to do, I'll let y'all out a little early. Yeah, so if you already know what to do and stuff like that, just hang on really quick. I'll let y'all out in a bit. Some last final things are, before I start releasing people a little bit early, is for Wednesday's the last day to turn in project 2 for any kind of credit. So if you turn it in tomorrow or today or later in the day, it's 5% off. If you turn it in on Wednesday, it's a 10% off your final grade. Any more than that, it's it won't be counted as a grade. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Deadline for late submissions is coming up. I will have your projects graded by next Monday. It'll be usually graded a week after I've received them. So I'll grade them this week. If I finish them, I'll send them to y'all early. Okay. Other than that, don't forget, if you want to submit for the extra credit, I'll let y'all submit it up till tonight. So this is the only homework that I'll kind of let y'all work on until tonight, just because it's extra credit, Other than that, here's what you can do to start project 3. So on Wednesday, I'm going to go over project 3, and we're going to go over a little bit more Photoshop exercises, but they're probably going to be more on blending modes. All right, so we're going to work on blending modes. We're going to work on more masking sort of situations, things like that. And then what we're going to do is from there on out, we're probably going to start jumping into some digital sketching exercises that involve like color and color schemes, things like that. All right, so that's kind of what we had have ahead of us. I'll also go over a little bit on stamping, stamping for texture, stamping, how to create thumbnails using the stamp tool. That'll be really, really helpful too. This will be towards the future in this current project, like what we will be learning in terms of lessons. But other than that, that's pretty much it. So we'll have these six to kind of start off with. The sixth one will be shown on Wednesday. So if you wanted to get them done first, you could get done with the first five. If you know how to do number six, go for it. But other than that, do we have any questions before I let people out early today?
Are these the Photoshop things due today, or are they what's the homework? When do they due?
The due date's on Canvas. It's due 2 weeks. So
Okay.
yeah, that usually all homework usually is due like the day in 2 weeks, unless like mentioned. So if you're not sure when the due date is, for everyone out there, just be sure to check on Canvas because it'll be up there. But other than that, any other questions?
Yeah. When you want us to turn this this, how do you want how do you want us to save it? A JPEG, or do you want us to keep it in Photoshop form?
Photoshop, yeah, keep it in Photoshop form. No JPEGs. So turn them in as PSDs because I gotta open them up and like see all the layers. Because like they're not in my class, but because I've been like pretty careful about it in my class, but um, in the classes I've taught, but like in other classes that only turn in JPEGs, like it's really hard to tell the difference between one JPEG and another if they all look the same. So um, just to make sure that everyone's done the work, like be sure to have them all as JPEGs. I mean as PSDs, no JPEG, no JPEG, as PSDs, so I can kind of see like the layers, like what you all kind of did, etc. And then if your file size is too big, you can change your file size by going to Image and Edit. Um, I would change the resolution lower, not the actual file size. So if you are kind of lagging on it, you can change the resolution to 72 at lowest. But other than that, any other questions?
So for like, I know you keep mentioning with these big projects that
Mhm.
theoretically you have until the end of the semester a base grade, and then you can resubmit them at any time.
Yes.
To my knowledge, it doesn't seem like resubmissions have a um, like resubmitting a project, even if I were like, let's say I got a B
Yeah.
on a project,
Hmm.
and then near the end of the semester I submitted, or at least near like when project three was due, I resubmitted it.
Uh-huh.
And, there doesn't seem to be any punishment for that in terms of a mandatory grade docking, or what? How does that work?
So you may only resubmit your grade. It's on the syllabus too, but you may only resubmit your grade if you got a C minus or higher. So this is to prevent anyone who wants to like just straight up like I don't know like BS the work and like resubmit it later because I have caught people doing that before where they'll just to be like completely honest y'all and excuse me for like the way I'm talking about these types of like pieces, but they look like total garbage when they turn it in. And then they try to resubmit it because they want more time, but it doesn't, so that would be the only case of where the punishment would be is like if you turned in something really bad, I'm not going to let you resubmit it because it shows me that you haven't worked hard enough on it. So that doesn't, so getting the resubmission is more of a reward than anything else. So if you've done a decent job in the industry, a lot of times your art director is going to tell you what to fix after, and then you're going to go back and fix it, and you're going to bring it back. So there's no deadline for it other than I would say like give it to me like a week. Like the deadline is week 15. So there's 16 weeks in our semester. So it's due week 15, like Wednesday. So the week before the semester is over, it's due. So I need about a week to grade them, and then afterwards you'll get the grade back like the week after. So that's kind of how.
So it's not like how it is with like if you submit the first one late,
Yeah.
but it and then
Mhm.
but submit the resubmission and it's like perfect, and you can potentially get a perfect grade on it, even though it's not in at the initial due date, right?
The penalties for like late stuff and other things will apply still if you've gotten them from the start. So if you're late for your work, it's always going to have the 5% or 10% docking grade. So I'll grade it as what it is first, and then I'll add the penalties that you've gotten before after. And usually the penalties are like really specific things. So like if you're late, there's always a penalty. Um, what else? Like I'm usually like pretty chill about the mood boards and sketches, but the thing about mood boards and sketches is you can take off that penalty if you've improved your picture and send me the sketches that and mood boards you use to improve the picture. So
Sounds like the best thing to do is even if your project isn't done, just submit it by the due date because then you can resubmit it. You won't have that permanent dock grade.
yes, as long as you think you're gonna get like a C minus or higher, like and you submit it on time, you will probably that's probably one way to kind of get around stuff. But like it is pretty risky to do that because a unfinished picture like is gonna get docked tons of grade, like tons of points. I can almost guarantee like if you finished half of it, you're gonna get an F. you know, like so I'm pretty strict on that. Like a finished piece of work is super important. If it's like almost finished and I can't really tell, like for example, there's some pieces that are almost finished and maybe a couple parts are not like shaded in, but everything else still has like pretty good hierarchy. Like it could be considered a finished piece if it wanted to. That would probably be like the best type of like project to turn in early on, like on time, and then go back and like redo a little bit after. But if you're turning in something where like, oh, I only got like everything blocked in one shade, I didn't have any shadows in, I didn't have any lights in, that's going to be probably like, that doesn't really tell me that you worked on the values a lot. So I'm probably going to give you like an F on that, just because like it's nothing. If you have like every single little thing blocked in, you might get like a little bit better of an F. Or like maybe like a D plus, depending on like how detailed it is, etc. Like I usually require like the piece has to be felt as finished in order to get a pretty decent grade. Otherwise, like it's not meeting the requirements, which is really important because if your boss is asking you that he or she needs like something, then you have to give it to them. Otherwise, like if like for example, like you can always like your boss is always going to tell you to redo your picture, but if you submit nothing or you submit something that looks really bad, you're probably going to get fired or written up. So that's kind of the way you can think about it is like you want the quality to be good enough so that it's considered finished and it's considered pretty decent up to a point, and that's going to be what allows you for the resubmission. And I do look at improvement too on your grade. Like if you're an artist who is not as technically advanced as the other artists, but I see like a huge improvement, I will take account for that too. Because part of the class is on improving. Now, there are set standards that you have to reach, but these are just small other things that I would probably consider while grading these as well.
I have a question.
Sure, what's up?
On the Tetris one,
Uh-huh.
when we finish the whole like getting them all matched together,
Uh-huh.
using with the others,
Did you merge your layers?
how do I merge?
So you want to select all your layers like this, right click and merge. Yeah, merge layers. So you want to merge the layers that everything is on. And then you should be able to move it all. Yeah, if you it's on the video too I recorded. So if you need to rewatch it again, it'll be on there. But yeah, you want to make sure you merge all your layers together. Any other questions before I let y'all go?
I got a question.
Sure, what's up?
Oh, can I wait to are you talking to in person?
Okay, sounds good. We can talk after class. I have another person who wants to talk to me too. Yeah, we'll figure that out right now. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for class today. Yeah, thank you all for joining. If you all have any questions, feel free to email me. Otherwise, the video will be up by tonight, and I'll probably send the email sometime. If you don't get it by the afternoon, it'll probably come at night because I do work until 8 p.m. today. So just keep that in mind. You know, if you don't see anything, like it's still probably I'm probably at work, and I'll probably come home kind of late and do that all that stuff too if I don't finish it before like if I don't finish it during lunch. But yeah, other than that, y'all are welcome to leave, and on Wednesday we'll go over more Photoshop stuff. Yeah,
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
have a good one. Thank you. And if you have any questions, feel free to stay after class. I can answer them.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Okay. And then I know John, you need to talk to me. Michael, you need to talk to me. Let's see. John, what did you is there like really roughly, I guess, did you need to talk about like art